what they saw. One guy had casts of like giant like alien footprints that he took out in the woods, and it ended up being an emu, escaped emu, because we found an emu falling right up the road. Yeah. So, you know, the same like 3 toes with the back heel.
It was a slee stack.
Yeah.
And he didn't like that answer either, did he?
No, Chadwick. He's just actually right over there. I have a box full of his casts. I never sent them back to him. He just emailed me. I felt bad because I was waiting for him to dress from him.
So how much do you know about UFOs?
Who are you asking?
You.
I know a lot. Well,
so
what's there to know?
Do you know a lot because of the TV show that you're associated with right now with on Discovery Channel, or did you know a lot before that?
No, I've always been interested in it. I've always been interested in it. I was, you know, it's a big universe. So,
what's your thought behind it? I mean, do you obviously believe in UFOs?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Is it a conspiracy theory, or do you think we're going to see them before we die?
It's a good question. I'm not entirely sure about that. I think that I don't know. I think you know, they've been here before. I think you know, other beings have been here before and seeded us and made humans into humans. And I think we will ultimately become, you know, we're heading in the direction of becoming that intelligence.
So
Justin whether Tucker, they reveal themselves to us or not, I don't know.
So Justin Tucker, who is with us right now, has spent many years in the entertainment industry, producing a lot of different TV shows that you probably have seen in the past. Continues to work on new projects all the time. One of your latest projects, which is on Discovery right now, is Alien Encounters, Fact or Fiction. So,
that's right.
So doing that show right there, how is that solidified or maybe desolidified any belief you would have in extraterrestrials?
I think it's a little bit of both, right? You know, we have the premise of the show is people who claim to have alien, you know, evidence, whether it's UFO or physical or encounters or experience. We would bring those people in. They'd send us their evidence prior to coming in, and we would get it either analyzed or cross-reference it with our team to like MUFON, and there's a bunch of websites out there that do like data entry for, you know, see if it was Starlink that they saw, check it with like SpaceX, things like that. And you know, I mean, people came in and we shot it in Roswell too, which was pretty cool. The people would come in and, you know, they'd have some compelling stories, and then there were some that were, you know, easily, you know, debunked, and they wholeheartedly believed it. And we, you know, had date, time, and orientation of what they saw. One guy had casts of like giant like alien footprints that he took out in the woods, and it ended up being an emu, escaped emus, because we found an emu falling right up the road. Yeah. So, you know, the same like 3 toes with the back heel.
It was a slee stack.
Yeah.
And he didn't like that answer either, did he?
No, Chadwick. He's just actually right over there. I have a box full of his casts. I never sent them back to him. He just emailed me. I felt bad because I was waiting for him a dress from him and to return them. And he emailed me yesterday, literally, and goes, "Hey, I never got my cast back." I'm like, and I was about to write, "I sent them," but then I started going through like my records, look for the tracking number, and I was like, I don't have it. I always take a picture of the tracking number. And I was like, I don't have it. And then I found it. It was out in the hallway on top of some stuff. So, but they're safe and sound, Chadwick, if you're
Here's
listening.
your emu footprints. Sorry about that.
Yeah, exactly. I got the slip on and everything ready to go back.
Peggy, what do you got? We got to get you in here.
Have you ever had an encounter or a personal sighting?
That would be for you, Justin.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
I'm
on the show all the time. They don't give a crap. They're not going to ask me crap. I mean, they don't care.
So me being in front of the camera is a new thing, as you can probably tell. I'm usually the guy writing and producing. But no, not alien. Oh, well, yeah, I'd have. I mean, I met with this is the craziest. I don't even know if I should tell this story. But I used to run a company. I was the vice president of their TV, and I'm not going to say which one, but this guy came in and he wanted to meet with the owner of the company, who's a very famous director, and they put the meeting off on me. And this guy claimed he was an alien. He worked for Raytheon Black Technologies. He had all the credentials, and he just 3 hours he sat there and told me, he's an advanced, a future humanoid alien. He looked just like an older guy. And he told me about the back engineering of the transistor all the way up to present day and how we, borrow technology from them and their
See, the transistor is actually supposedly an alien technology, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was from the Roswell crash. It was they back engineered it from the Roswell crash, allegedly. It's that was kind of my one experience. Have I ever seen a UFO in the sky? No, but I did do the show Ghost Hunters for a long time, and I saw some weird stuff on that for sure in the paranormal field. I'm not a real believer in ghosts, but I saw a really weird thing down in St. Augustine, Florida, at the lighthouse.
Well, you're going to have to tell us now.
So at the lighthouse, the story was that this young girl, it was in the 1800s, the lighthouse keeper was sick, and his daughter, who was like 5 or 6 or something, or 7 maybe, she had to put oil in the lantern to keep it going at the top of the lighthouse. And inside, it's just a tall, slim thing, and there's a spiral staircase. One entrance in at the bottom, spiral staircase all the way up. Well, apparently she got to the top and fell off and died inside the lighthouse when she was 7. And she's who haunts the lighthouse. So anyways, I'm outside on something called an IFB, which is a transmitter from the audio guy, so I can hear the cast inside talking. And I'm at the craft service table. That's where I like to hang out, snacking. And so I'm just listening to what's going on, and I hear the guys go, "There's a shadow." And we had a camera at the center of the lighthouse at the bottom looking up, so all you could see was a spiral staircase all the way to the top. So I hear the guy start like hoofing it and chasing, the shadow that they saw. I couldn't see anything from the inside. And then they get about halfway up and they go, "It's gone." And I'm looking at the lighthouse and they said it's gone. And a ball of I couldn't even tell you what color it was. It shot out of the side of the lighthouse, hit a palm tree and sparked. And the footage that they got inside, we went back and checked it. The camera looking up got a little shadow running really fast up the spiral staircase, and you see their flashlights. It was always like 2 stories ahead in front of them. And then it looked over the edge. A silhouette of a little girl looked over the edge from the top, and it disappeared. Oh, no. Yeah. So I saw the energy leaving the building.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That was what, Ghost Hunters?
That was Ghost Hunters.
That was Ghost Hunters, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that episode. I specifically remember the camera angle looking straight up at the spiral, and somewhere near the top, you could see like a head of some sort peeking over,
and then it disappeared. And they said it's gone.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was on the outside, which you don't see, and I saw that energy leave the building. I mean, Mike, you could probably source that online and overlay as we're talking about it.
Melissa just knocked the microphone over.
Yeah.
I got all excited.
She loves this stuff. She'll watch ghost stuff, crime hunters, and alien stuff 24/7 if you let her.
Oh, cool.
It's crazy.
But now you had an alien experience.
Well, not an alien experience, but I did see UFOs. Yes.
All right, so
cool.
Justin's going to tell you a story. Fact or fiction?
Oh yeah. Was it lights or what did you see?
I saw the whole ship.
Okay, daytime?
The craft or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So 1999.
Yeah.
I was driving from where we live now, and I was taking the back roads. I was going up 164. So I was coming down 165, and I was just coming towards that intersection where where it intersects with 164, where the church is right there and the Preston Fire Department is right there.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
So I'm going to take the right-hand turn to go towards Norwich. And it was nighttime. So I remember seeing out in the distance, through the trees, I could see these red lights. And at that time, it wasn't I wasn't thinking anything other. For some reason in my head, I was thinking like a radio tower.
I was going to say, in that area, there's a radio station with 3 towers.
Exactly. So that's what I was thinking. Lights. I saw a couple of different blinking red lights, and that's all I was thinking. And I'm not thinking anything else. I'm thinking radio tower. So I'm not really paying attention. I turn right, and I'm going towards Norwich. And I get just where Fleming's is right there.
Yep.
The feed store, the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like right there. And the car in front of me is in a dead stop in the middle of the road. I'm like, what is this guy doing? Seriously now? Come on. So I wait for a second. All of a sudden I look and the guy flips on his reverse lights. Now there's nobody else on the road, just me and him. So I'm like, what is this guy doing? And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm going to pass this guy. This is ridiculous. I don't know what he's doing. So I do this thing where I kind of I was going to look behind me to to pull out into the other lane and pass the guy. And as I turn my head right coming off of this giant cornfield, across the street from where Fleming's is.
Yeah.
There's 2 triangular shaped crafts literally just coming right over the tops of the trees. And there's a red blinking light on each of the 3 points. There's 2 of them. They're flying in tandem. And on each corner, there's a red light. And in the center, there's a white light. And they're just going nice and slow, just flying right over me. And I literally was I stopped dead in my tracks, looked for maybe 5 seconds, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then I freaked the heck out, flipped my car, just went into gear and booked it the hell out of there. I just so scared at that second. I was like, I don't know.
Did the other guy see it too?
So the guy that was in front of me, he was flipped in reverse, and I think he was going to follow the craft. And then he saw that I was behind him, so he stopped. But then as I'm looking in my rearview mirror, I still see this thing going, flying, towards the Griswold, Jewett City area into Plainfield. I'm seeing it go that direction. Sure. This guy just does a giant U-turn in the middle of the road and starts following it. And I got home, and at that time I was living in Norwich, and I got home and I got out of my car and just stood there staring at the sky. And what the heck just happened? Did I literally just see that? I cannot believe I just saw what I think I saw. I walked in my apartment and I was shaking and I couldn't stop shaking. And my husband at that time, he's calling the police station being did anybody report anything? And they're of course thinking we're crazy. No.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what are you supposed to do in that situation? Who are you supposed to call? I don't know. So I'm okay, it was the craziest thing. And I've never seen anything like that since. And
did you ever lose time? I mean, did you lose any time?
No, not that I'm aware of. I do remember calling my mother and saying,
during the sighting?
No, after, when I got home, I called my mother and I was like, okay, I don't know what just happened, but I was in Preston and this is what I saw. And it was headed towards your way. And she went, when? And I was I don't know, about 15, 20 minutes ago. And she goes, the dog was just losing its mind. She goes, that must have been what was going on. And I was like, yeah, probably.
Interesting. So it seems like it was multiple witnesses. It sounds like another guy saw it too. And he was.
Yeah, another guy saw it too. I don't know if you could get anybody to admit to
what
that.
What kind of car was it? I don't know
who else saw it at that time, at that night. But
what kind of car do you remember?
And that time I was driving a red Toyota Tercel.
The other car.
The other car? Oh, I don't have a clue. I don't remember at all.
It didn't look like a government vehicle, like a Grand
No, I don't think so.
Interesting. I mean, hey, listen, those are the type of stories we get, I mean, they're and then, if something like that, we would, just from a show standpoint, we would try to track down whoever that was. We put out ads in the area, see if
and they were I don't know what I was expecting, because you hear all these different stories. I mean, they're saucer shaped, they're square, they're this, they're shaped like a globe, they're shaped like this. I saw
cigars.
I saw a triangle, 2 of them.
We apparently have 11 crafts in our possession.
One of the things I specifically recall, and it's burned in my memory, is, like I said, I saw the 3 lights on each point, and then the white light in the middle. On the bottom of each craft, you could see all this circuitry. It was the LED lights. They're just like looking down on a city, Like it was all like this circuitry and just the white glow of all of this circuitry that was working.
Did you stop in the road?
I did.
All right. How do you know you weren't actually abducted and then put back at the exact same time?
And when I went home and was like, oh my God, this is what happened. My husband told his family and they thought it was hilarious. And they banked on this for like years.
Well, he would have said something if she lost time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I've heard stories, Justin, where people get abducted.
No, there was I'm positive there was no abduction.
And then they can, or whatever, they reverse time or whatever. People don't actually lose time, quote unquote. They could be gone for like 3 hours.
And then it's reflective, but it doesn't seem that long because they're in a gravity. Time is relative to gravity. So they live in the ship. It creates a gravity bubble, and within that, it doesn't. Time keeps going everywhere else, but it slows down.
They don't remember. They have no idea. Like a lot of times they have to go into some sort of counseling to recall these memories of being abducted.
Transcendental regression or whatever it is, meditation that'll.
Justin, you said we have 11 crafts. You mean the United States?
The United States apparently has 11 crafts of all shapes and sizes. Some from archaeological digs, some from crashes. There's a small area off of Area 51 called SR7 or something like that. I'll have to look it up, but that's where the test facility is for those. And that's when
familiar with.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, I was just saying that's when the government did that land grab around Area 51. Was around in the 80s because people were viewing them test fly them. The interviews of the guys that have worked there who talk about it, and their stories are all the same. They say that they used to fly them on Wednesdays because that was the least statistically of traffic going up, leaving Vegas, going north. I think that's 95 in Nevada, maybe. But yeah, through like Tonopah and heading north. But Wednesdays were the lowest traffic days, so word got out and people were going. We had a guy on the show. I don't know if you guys watched the show, but there's a guy from the show who's got like footage from the 90s at the black mailbox before the land grab. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it might be 93. The closest you could get was this black mailbox it was like a famous black mailbox. And he's got video footage of craft doing lights, doing acrobatics in the air that is similar to, they defy all physics. It's like as if you would put a laser pointer on the wall and just kind of move it around, So, but they equate it to, we don't understand yet how they fly and operate. They have an idea, but we can't recreate it. But if you left the keys in a motorcycle in the Victorian era, they would look at it, poke it with a stick, and eventually figure out how to start it and drive it. But they wouldn't know how it works. They wouldn't know about internal combustion and gasoline, and they couldn't even make a plastic fender. So we fly them and test them. We keep them in our atmosphere. Apparently, we don't take them out of atmosphere, but we're learning. Apparently what's weird about them is they can communicate with VHF radios with people inside of them. So the pilots inside of them that are flying it, they can talk, and it shouldn't be when you're in a gravity bubble. No, it bends light. No radio frequency is going to get out of there. So it's weird that they can communicate with them.
Yeah.
There was an alien interview, and I don't know if it was like in the 60s.
The Russian one?
I don't think it was Russian, but it was an alien. And you can see it on YouTube. It's about 5 or 6 different parts.
I know the exact one. That was a Russian one. They just dubbed over the questions in English. That's been studied at length, and they interviewed. I remember seeing a thing on there. They interviewed a guy who was the best animatronics kind of movie guy at the time.
Yep.
And he said that if that was fake, that would have been about $400,000 at the time to make it look that good. There's been a lot of studies done on that tape.
It's a Project Blue Book.
Yeah, Project Blue Book is an organization.
1964.
Yeah. I believe that was a Russian tape.
Well, I mean, the reason I bring it up is because it's one of the things that you had said at the beginning of what you feel aliens are. Like basically,
Right.
Humans that have evolved.
Well, there's different races, but there's different races of aliens, but the ones that we're seeing are most likely of human descent, because that's where we're headed. If you think about it, if we evolved from apes, we were hairy, covered in hair. We're becoming that body shape of a gray, right? Mm-hmm. Right. Our heads are getting bigger, our bodies are getting smaller, we're getting less strong. Less. Would you just?
I want my head to get bigger, my body to get smaller. That's all.
I'm saying get smaller.
If you think about it, an alien humanoid race wouldn't have to be much more advanced than us. Maybe think about where we were 300 years ago, mm-hmm. right? Yeah. We were living in log cabins and burning wood, and now now we have cell phones that are, we can communicate with off planet and back in a fraction of a second. Think about 700-800 more years of evolution of our technology, and then add 50,000 years of evolution to our bodies. You know what I mean? What are we 300,000, 400,000 years old as humans? That's it. Blink of an eye. So yeah, I mean, any kind of evolution from this point on will put us closer to being, in 1,000 years, we could be intergalactic, checking other planets, and there's a race of intelligent life that we don't disturb either. We don't. So that's kind of the theory behind it. But they don't have to be that much more advanced than us. Or our planet is governed by Newton's third law, right? It's like you have to create energy to, or you have to use energy to make energy, right? So we burn things and shoot them out of the back of, maybe there's a planet that's got a different element, and they never started with internal combustion engines. Maybe they started with, an element that manipulates time. So their evolution was just from that point, and it just happened to be, maybe they haven't been around for 250,000 years,
Yeah.
Peggy, you're look like you're in thought over there.
No, I was just thinking, I haven't been able to watch a full episode, sorry, but I watched some clips. And so, and you kind of reference this at the top, about people coming in with different evidence. And are there common themes? I mean, like, other than the really obvious stuff that I think we hear on TV all the time, but are there common themes between people's stories that I think you found validity in?
Yeah.
If you're going to go into that story, the very first one you told me about.
Which one?
The one about the piece of metal.
Oh, no, I wasn't going to. What I was going to say for the common themes are the shapes, the movement, the people that I believe actually had encounters, they all kind of saw the same shape, saw the same action, saw the same, color lights, the red and the white, that type of thing. They, and then there was, and then it evolves from there. The ones that were, they claimed to be abducted, the ones that I feel were more true were always the same kind of theme, which the abductions usually. So here's what's weird about abductions to me, and I don't always believe them, is because they always happen when people are in bed. And they always happen when people are sleeping or at night. They feel like they were, taken. Not always. I mean, there's a few people driving, things like that. But
so really, aliens are guilty of home invasion.
Home invasion, but no. What I think it is I think when you're dreaming, your brain produces DMT out of your pineal gland.
Well,
go ahead.
There's a famous story of the four men that are camping and they're out fishing on a lake.
Yep.
They see a light in the distance and they pick up their flashlight and they start flashing it and the thing starts responding back to them. And then they start getting scared. So they start heading back towards their camp. And then then the next thing they know, they're actually on the beach and it's daylight.
Yeah, that's lost time. That's probably close to an abduction. So they would have to do some memory. Like, that's different. For the people that we interviewed was from their beds, and they may be true, but what I'm saying is I think it's sleep paralysis what's happening to people when they get abducted. Yeah, so I think it's, the DMT in your pineal gland. Some people have overactive active pineal glands, and some people don't. And then sometimes when you're sleeping, there can be a dump of DMT, and it feels real apparently, because DMT is one of the most hallucinogenic substances on the planet. Right. They say if you want to see the world different, take mushrooms, but if you want to leave the fucking universe, take DMT.
Okie dokie.
Googling.
Yeah. Dimethyltryptamine, I think it's called. But yeah, that's what I think a lot of abductions are. But however, there's other people. One girl driving back from Vegas pulled over, and her and her boyfriend, I don't know if you saw that episode, they pulled over on the side of the road, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm telling their story from memory. But
are you talking about from the show Alien Encounters Factor?
Yeah. So they were driving back from Vegas. They pulled over. They were sleepy. They heard a weird sound. And then here's what's cool about the story is they heard a weird sound, and the girl is the one that reached out to me. They were dating at the time. They're no longer dating. This was like early 2000s. They pulled over on the side of the road, and she remembers going into like feeling like she can't move. She looked out the window, and she saw a gray being outside of the window looking in at her. She looked over at the boyfriend. He was sleeping. When she came to, he woke up, and they were just like, oh, it was like a nap to him, right? Cut to, and they never really talked about it again. Cut to the show, he like remembered a lot more. And we came to the conclusion that he may have been the one that they wanted. He may have been the one that was abducted, lost time. And she just saw it happen, right? She witnessed the gray, she witnessed that and the other. They paralyzed her, so she couldn't do anything. And he might be the one that because he started remembering things, and it was pretty wild to hear the story, putting them back together after 20 years and having her tell her story as if she was the one who experienced it. And with him being there, he filled in a lot of blanks for everybody. So it was cool.
Is it true that when people, or have you heard stories, or have you had any guests on the show where they've been abducted allegedly by aliens, and now they have some sort of implant that's like about the size of a grain of rice?
Yeah,
I've heard stories like that.
Yeah. We had an implant analyzed on the show. It came back as dental material, but I don't know why this woman would have dental material implanted in her ear. It was a small piece of ceramic. We had it tested. It didn't produce any RF, no nuclear or radiation off of it. It was just kind of nothing. And they said it's the same material you'd use in a dental implant. So it was inconclusive, but she had an implant taken out behind her ear after an abduction story. So
that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. And those are the stories that you have to you get really skeptical, because if it's not doing anything, it makes you wonder if she might have implanted it there herself to say.
Yeah. No, she maybe. Yeah, you never know. However, she was, she just wanted answers. I don't know. Yeah. And then she also cut it out too. Now that I think of it, she's the one who cut it out. So
yeah, exactly.
Who knows?
It's stories like that make you kind of step back and wonder.
I would say there's in anything. I think UFO especially attracts a lot of kooks, right? So
definitely, absolutely.
98% of them are fake, and you're going through it. But there's some out there that are pretty wild. Like, are you guys familiar with like Bob Lazar?
I am. Yeah.
With who?
Bob Lazar.
What?
Kind of a whistleblower.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. So he's the one who back engineered element 115, which we can't recreate. We've been trying, and he was working on the gravity wave on the crafts that we have. He was working on and he went to the press about it in the 90s, and was kind of like laughed out. But now everything that he was saying is like coming true, like everything he said back then. So he a lot of stuff. We didn't even have element 115 back then, and now we only have it in a unstable form that we can recreate in a particle collider. So, but he had he claimed the aliens had a stable version of element 115, and that's what they used to create the gravity envelope around the ship.
Are you familiar with the Hadron Collider?
Yeah.
Does that have anything to do with this? Because that deals with a lot of like atom splitting, possible time dilations.
Well, yeah, they claim that, but they never really go the speed of light because nothing with maths can go the speed of light in theory. So it's just under.
We're not built for it.
They were saying that the hydrogen collider or hadron collider was the purpose of all the Mandela effect going out. Like humanity was reset the day they made that thing go live. But I don't know. I don't know if I believe that.
Curious George was an alien. Did he have a tail? Did he not have a tail?
Yeah, right? Yeah, the Berenstain Bears.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all of that.
Oscar Mayer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bunch of them. There's a million of them.
Yeah, they say the Hadron Collider is responsible for all that.
Nice.
Really? Okay.
Who knows?
That's what I mean. There's a lot of crazy stuff, but there's also some pretty interesting stuff.
Now, Peggy, have you ever had any experience with a sighting of your own or any kind of close encounter?
Once when I was a kid, but the whole situation, like, I feel like I could just debunk it on my own. You know, I was a kid. I was a kid. It was nighttime, looking out a window, saw an object. But you know, nothing stands out. Like, it's pretty basic. It was probably a plane, but something in my gut, like I just said, oh, hey, that's a UFO. As a kid, like even as a kid, it was just like my gut. But you know, come on. Right. Not that I don't believe, though. I mean, I'm in.
I've never had anything. I've never had any kind of sighting or anything like that. I have a friend named John who I know that's John stereotypical. I have a friend named John, but he's literally an astrophysicist, and he was in Chile for years studying the skies. He said he never once saw anything, but he is a big time believer that they are out there. Mm-hmm. Even though he said he saw a couple of things that were weird and moved in weird ways out there, but nothing that he could really truly identify as some sort of alien craft.
Right.
But here's one thing that I'm really curious about. So if we went to the moon years ago, Neil Armstrong walked on the moon.
Right.
First of all, did he?
Didn't happen.
Okay. And the second thing is, if we were able to walk on the moon in the 60s, how come we've never been back?
Because no human can go through the Van Allen belt. It's too much radiation in our current spacecraft. It never happened. It was a hoax to beat Russia. We've been to the moon with rovers and things like that, but no humans ever been on there.
Really?
Yep. No, I've been down that rabbit hole for 10 years, and it's conclusive that there's never been a human that's gone through the Van Allen belt. Our magnetic field, it's too much radiation. Yeah. We'd have to carry like a swimming pool worth of water to insulate the ship, and they did it with gold foil. They would have been fried on the inside.
Yeah, I've seen those.
And the temperature changes on the moon go from 400 degrees to negative 400 degrees within seconds, you know? It's like there's no atmosphere. So there's no suit that can...
Same thing with Mars, right? There's no atmosphere on Mars?
No atmosphere on Mars. Well, there is. It's a lot. It's 1/6, I think, the atmosphere of the Earth.
So I have a question for the group.
Mm-hmm.
This one's for everybody. Going back to the story of the couple in the car in Las Vegas, because now I can't get that out of my brain. And the idea that it was the young man that they wanted. Who gets picked? What's our theory?
Why did they pick him?
What do I have to do to be picked or not picked?
So this kid, he said ever since that day he's felt more enlightened, more smarter, more like a lot of things. And he's part of a team that's developing now. He's developing AI for OpenAI, the Sora. I don't know if you ever heard of Sora, but it's a video generating. So he's part of the team doing that now. So he had some superior intelligence. I feel maybe something like that. Also,
he had superior intelligence, or he was a dingbat.
He was a smart guy before, but what he said on camera, and he had never revealed to her. He's like, after that night, I never felt smarter or more enlightened, and that's how I've kind of lived my life since.
So it's almost like he was an experiment for them.
Yeah, he might be, might be advanced, advanced.
Oh,
maybe he was, maybe he's got alien DNA. Maybe, they do live here, hybrids.
Is, in your belief, yes or no, the moon actually an alien space station?
It could be. I've heard that theory before. We'll find out when we go, right?
Yeah, me and Elon, we're taking a trip.
Yeah. No, that you go down that rabbit hole. I tell you guys, it's like, it's unbelievable. Who's holding the camera?
Right.
Who's holding the camera when he jumps out of the thing, or when they're driving the moon rover around? Yeah. And then they have a pan and tilt when they take off. Will they leave the guy behind?
And there's even theories about even how the
flag
shadow.
Oh, there's intersecting shadows too.
Yeah.
In the footage, meaning there's more than one light source. So it's not like just the sun. All the shadows. If the sun was over here, all the shadows would be facing that way. There's like crisscrossing shadows behind him, meaning there's like a grid above him. It was shot in a studio. We had to beat Russia to the moon. That's it. It's not like they lost all of the data. They erased all of the original film. They don't have any record of us going. NASA doesn't, or at least they've been asked and they haven't been able to reproduce it or come up with it.
That is insane.
Yeah,
I'm losing my freaking mind.
That's a rabbit hole. I know.
And I don't want to sound like a kook, but I've really looked into it, and from what I can gather, I don't think we win. I really don't think we win. It's real clear. I mean, we're in the Cold War. We had to beat Russia to the moon, so we had the best film in the world at the time. Mm-hmm. So we did it. And then when they did it live on TV, the people that saw it, they saw a projection of it on a screen. Right? They didn't give a feed. Usually, like, this is a feed, right? I got the feed. I can jump into the feed. I can see it. This would be like the way they did it is they sent a feed to NASA, and NASA used a projector and projected it on a screen, and then video. It was like fourth generation, right? Video camera shot the screen. So that was the feed that people saw. They were in low Earth orbit, right? They were in like where the space station is, and they were communicating back and forth there. And that's it.
Oh
that's it,
my
man.
Goodness.
That's it. Yeah. Bing, bam, boom. It's easy as that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I could be wrong. Who knows? But that's my theory. That's my theory from what I've gathered.
So we're talking to Justin Tucker, who is currently. Well, actually, you're not currently working on Alien Encounters Fact or Fiction right now. That show's in so much of what they call in the can, right?
Yeah, we shot it. Don't really say in the can that much.
That's a different joke.
We shot it, and we're waiting to hear on season 2. So, but the network loves it. So,
what's that? Now you're what?
I said the network loves it, so we'll see.
Yeah.
In the can.
Oh, good.
Very good. It's an interesting show.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
So you can watch it on Discovery, or you can pick it up on, if you got HBO Max, you can pick Discovery.
Yeah, it's on Max, the same company. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Discovery owns the world now.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool show. So now, I know we're talking about UFOs and how it works in TV a little bit, and what kind of experiences you have had in this. But what do you got coming up as a producer, or in some other fashion? What do you got coming up in the world of TV?
You got a lot of development that I really can't talk about, you know what I mean? Just because
we talk about UFOs, that's government. We can't talk about Justin's TV shows.
Yeah, well, I only know what's released to the public. I don't know anything. You can find all the stuff that I've said. I mean, I might be slightly off, and I'm just going off of memory, but you can find it. You know what I mean? You can find. I don't know anything that's secret, right? I'm just kind of regurgitating other things out there and other things I've collected. But yeah, as far as development, I really can't talk about that. I mean, we got Poppy's Planet, we got that going on. Have a a bunch of development going out. I have I can talk about maybe like the the brothers. I have a deal with them, and we're shopping that around. The Hardy Boys from WWE. A lot of fun projects, but you'll be the first to know when I can. Yeah, I don't like talking about them because it's jinxing them. Somebody hears this, what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
You don't want anybody stealing.
Come on,
ideas.
dude! I was just trying to bait you a little bit.
Yeah, not even that.
What's been your favorite item off a craft service table?
Depends how big the budget is. Some of the bigger shows have like omelet stations and prime rib, and then the little rinky-dink shows will have a couple granola bars. But I would say the best craft service I've ever on a show I ever worked on was a show called More to Love on Fox. It was The Fat Bachelor, and
oh my god,
Yes.
they had a craft service table that was. You can get your eggs any style. You get them poached if you want.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I hear WWE shows have good catering.
Oh, that's the best. Yeah, sorry, that is the best. Backstage at WWE. That WWE is just steak and lobster and everything in between in the back room, and they're cranking out food. Yeah, at the live events. Yeah, on Ms. and Mrs. we used to go to WWE like Raw or SmackDown, and shoot Mike backstage. Hit the craft service catering, they call it there. Yeah. But it's just 24/7. Well, 14 hours of food. There's no like set meal time. It's just like food just coming out.
See, I want to go to a WWE event with you. I really don't care about the wrestlers. I just want to eat the food.
Oh, the food's great. Yeah.
The food is awesome.
They got to fool all the giant guys, all the wrestlers back there, learning their lines and eating steaks with a hand. There's like a giant steak in their hand. They're like, no, I can't do that. Because they get their lines. They get their they call them sides. They get their sides right before when they get there. They don't know the storylines. They learn all the storylines when they arrive that night. So they don't know if they're winning, losing. They have to rehearse the moves they're going to do. They talk to their opponent and they figure it all out. Because that writer's door stays closed. Everyone's there. They're not producer. And they're waiting for that writer's room door to open. And as soon as that
wrestling is scripted?
What?
Says who?
Entertainment.
Wait,
it's not even wrestling anymore.
This has been a hellacious podcast for me. We didn't go to the moon.
Wrestling is scripted. Wrestling is scripted.
I am literally just blown away.
Yeah.
Peggy, did you hear what Melissa just said? It's what we don't know, and you have been totally blown away.
Well,
because I evidently don't know shit.
I'll say we didn't go to the moon to a room full of like boomers like my parents' age, and dude, they will vehemently, because they watched it, right? Yeah. They will vehemently defend it. I was like, yeah, you got tricked. You got tricked.
That's right. My dad still thinks Trump is president.
I felt my dad like bonk me on the head when I believed it.
Don't be stupid, my dad. But
did you remember that wrestler years ago talking to that to the news guy and the
John Stossel?
Yeah, and the reporter goes up to him and says, "They say that wrestling is fake. What is your opinion?" And the wrestler,
Dr. D. David Schultz,
like, "Is this
whacks
fake?"
him, breaks his eardrum,
smacks him right upside the head. Is that fake? Is that fake?
Yeah.
That's an open hand slap.
Didn't Hulk Hogan take out Geraldo?
Yes.
He put him like in a full Nelson.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
But it was Dr. D. David Schultz, who's gone now.
Yeah.
He's the one that slapped up John Stossel.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What if there are wrestlers that are alien hybrids?
Oh, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is.
How else can they get so big?
There's a lot of people. I think we all are somewhat or the other. You know, because you guys are familiar with like the Sumerian text and the Epic of Gilgamesh and all that stuff with like the Anunnaki. You guys, yeah. So that's supposed to be the origin of modern day humans life. Yeah. Because we were supposed to be, you know, in those stories, the Anunnaki came down. They were giant humanoid gods, and they called them gods, but they weren't. They were just aliens, and they wanted a race of slaves, so they kind of genetically engineered us to.
Yeah, we're the pets.
See, now I heard it was pretty much the reptilians that wanted that. and the blue giant Anunnaki were the ones that were like, just it's our planet, let them be.
Yeah, I don't know much about reptilian. That sounds a little like folklore. You know what I mean? Like, if they were out there, I'm sure there's different races, right? But the ones that I've kind of focused on are Greys and then humanoid. Greys are an organic robot that don't. That's why the Greys usually abduct, because they were created to as like a worker also. Mm-hmm. And they can't reproduce, so that's why you hear a lot of abductions that study like women and stuff, and you get probed and things like that. They study human female reproductive parts. That's why it's constantly, when women get abducted, there's a lot of probing going on.
Yeah. So here's something that, and I personally have just two questions for you.
Yeah.
Left over. So a lot of times you hear about UFOs, and they're coming from the sky, but are they really coming from, say, Middle Earth, like out of, say, Antarctica?
I mean, they could be. I think oceans are more, because when you're in a gravity bubble, transmedium isn't difficult, right? You can go from space to atmosphere to ocean, and it doesn't exist. So I think there's a lot going on in our oceans, but primarily the Pacific Ocean, specifically the Pacific.
That's a new series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last one that I really have is I want you to tell the story of alien encounters, fact or fiction, about the guy that brought this piece of metal, or whatever, that he thought it was from an alien craft or something. Can you tell that story?
Yeah, I mean, there was he brought in. So he's a geologist, and he's a relics hunter, a treasure hunter with a metal detector. So he goes all over and does it. And he wanted to go to the Roswell crash site. He's from Roswell. Wanted to go crash site and see what he could find. So he studied the lay of the land, and through his geological knowledge, he figured out what the hydraulic system of 80 years of rainfall would have done. And he found this rock lath, right, where almost like when you're panning for gold, there's laths, the gold falls into it and the water runs over it, and it's kind of like a collection area. So anyways, he went and metal detected that collection area. He found small little scraps of metal in there, silver, shiny metal, or kind of not shiny but muted metal. So anyways, he takes it, and it's very close to where the crash site was. We had it analyzed, and he came in, and then we revealed what the metal was, and it was an off-planet isotope of aluminum. And he very well could have found that in the college that the several colleges that analyzed it said that it not only was an off-planet isotope of aluminum, it looked like it went through an explosion in high pressure. So he probably found wreckage if there was a spacecraft that crashed there. Little tiny scraps of it. So it was cool. I held it in my hand. I had it here in Connecticut. I had pieces of it here in Connecticut, and I shot little macro photography of it for the show. And
you still have it?
No, I sent it back to him.
Why are you hanging onto the emu feet then?
Those are sweet. I have a foot thing. I have an alien foot thing. No, those I straight up forgot to send.
Anything else that you want to maybe we didn't ask, or something that you want to talk about or mention?
One of the best, one last thing. One of the best theories that I've heard of humans is what do we do as humans? What are we doing here? We don't know, right? But what do we do? What do we know we do? We constantly make things, improve things. The iPhone 14 comes out, now the 15. Cars just keep getting better. And what we do as humans, and we don't even know it, we're just improving. Now we've created this thing called AI. It's brand new. We're uploading our consciousness into it. So what I've heard as a theory is, that's what propagates itself through the universe. And we are on the track of every other intelligent life form. We're the cocoon, we're building the cocoon for the butterfly, which is, because the only way we can get off this planet is if we're machines, right? if our consciousness is loaded into machines, and then we can, in the machine bodies, leave this, we can live forever. You know, we can do things. Our organic bodies, you know, like I said, we can't get through the Van Allen belt, so we're kind of trapped here until they develop that. But I think with the advent of AI, I think that's what we're doing, and we don't even know it. I think we're loading our consciousness into a machine that's gonna, then we can lose our human bodies over the course of evolution, and we evolve into these conscious. And I think that's what a lot of ships you're seeing. They're not even have aliens on them. I think they're intelligent life forms. We're giving birth to a new life form, basically, and we don't even know it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a good way to end our show called What We Don't Know.
By the way, all of this is just conjecture. I have no idea of any of it. And it's just through years of just if I did solely alien and paranormal shows, I think I'd be more of a kook. But I think that me doing one like every 5 years just for fun, you learn a little bit more. You see the progression. You see what's come out. I mean, you've seen the videos of the TikTok and the gimbal, all government videos from aircraft, like fighter pilots. You know, the Tic Tac on the West Coast was at 80,000 feet, and it went to 3 feet off the water in less than a second in this radar tracked on video. And then it went over and visually tracked by David Fravor. You know, he's a pilot, and he's gone around, and then it transmedium, it kind of zigzagged over the water with a craft under the water. And then it went to their rally point, like 12 miles away, and they hadn't even announced it. It knew their rally point, and when they got there, it was there, and it was there before them in like a half a second. So that's one. The gimbal on the East Coast, thing sat there for 12 hours just hovering over the ocean in 100-mile-an-hour winds, and you know, even drone technology couldn't hover for 12 hours in 100-mile-an-hour winds. You know, there's fuel issues. We have fuel issues. You know, there's a lot of new stuff coming out, which is, you know, and then also Bob Lazar, all of his stuff, you know, now that we are catching up to the technology that he was talking about in the 90s, you know, he was talking about, you know, hand scanners back in the 90s to get in there, that because everyone's fingers are different with bone density, and you used to have to put your hand in this thing. It was an analog scanner, and now those came out, that those existed back then. So
yeah, there's just a lot of things to really think about and question.
Yeah,
definitely stuff we don't know. I mean, just for like future discussions. I mean, like there's the case of Barney and Betty Hill.
Oh yeah.
There's the case of the ladies in Texas that were hit by radiation from a craft, and then they sued the U.S. government.
Yep.
The case in Australia of the pilot in Australia that just disappeared. And his last transmissions were basically, that's not another plane, and then he was gone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, Benny and Barney Hill are probably the most famous, right? They're the kind of the poster child. That was what, in Maine?
Right.
Their granddaughters.
I think it was Maine. Yeah, it was in Maine or New Hampshire. No, Massachusetts.
Yeah,
or they're from Massachusetts, and they went to Maine.
Yeah, their granddaughter's an MMA fighter in the UFC.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But that case is extremely intriguing. I mean, there's just no answers.
Yeah, they were abducted with a something, whatever the therapy that they had to go through to recall it all. But it's wild. It's I like it because it's a little bit different from the normal transgression. Yeah. I like it because it's completely different, and it kind of expands your mind and makes you think, like, because the universe is gigantic, right? And there's
absolutely. There's no
reason why there's some. There's got to be.
Right.
They'll find life on, dead life on Mars. I guarantee you. Within the next 10 years, we'll know if there was, because they're drilling all the lake beds right now with the rover, and they're planning a mission to go back within the next 10 years to pick up the payload that the core samples. So all the lake beds is drilling little core samples and storing them. I just saw a thing on it where it's storing them and it's putting them in a place sealed, and then they're figuring out a mission to collect those samples. But I guarantee you they're going to find fossils of, not necessarily intelligent. I think there's life everywhere, and but the mass amount, if we find life on Mars, then it's, even if it's not intelligent, then it's almost a 100% probability that there's intelligent life somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Justin, thank you very much, man.
You got it.
So where else can we find TV shows that you've been involved in?
Duck Dynasty, Ms. and Mrs., Straight Up Steve Austin, Auction Hunters, Ghost Hunters. I mean, there's a lot.
Been around for a while doing this.
Been around for a while.
And you got more coming our way.
Yeah, it's more coming. Yep.
All right,
Absolutely.
Justin Tucker, thank you very much for joining us on What We Don't Know. And apparently we found out what we don't know is nothing.
We don't know nothing.
Yeah, we don't know. By the way, I don't know anything.
Thanks, dude.
You got it. See ya.
I'll talk to you
Take
later.
care.
All right, bye.
So what do you think?
Hey, Bob Lazar went to the same community college that I did.
Wow.
Oh.
Just saying.
Bob Lazar, community college class of
It's
1989.
true, though. It's true, though. I looked it up on Wikipedia. It must be right.
Oh, must be true.
Oh,
Must be
it must be true.
So what'd you think about that?
It's just stuff that we don't know.
I'm blown
Well, we're living
away.
true to our name. Huh?
I'm blown away.
Yeah, huh? That was extremely interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew you'd like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I recently read an article. I didn't read it. I saw the headline, but it was interesting. They were talking about they're finding scientific evidence of another dimension, of a third dimension.
Shit, I could have told you about that. I knew that. We slide dimensions. There's infinite amount of dimensions.
I have to look it up now, but there was a recent article. Saw the headline. I didn't read the article because I was like, I don't have time for this right now. But I saw the headline and I was like, wait, what? It was one of those save it for later type of things. And then I haven't seen it since. But yeah, but like there's a dimension between life and death. Like after you die, there's another dimension. Like they're finding scientific evidence of it. You know how we've talked about it. Like, yeah, there's an afterlife where, there's the spirituality and there's this and that and whatever, but now they're actually finding scientific evidence that might actually exist.
I think AI has a lot more to do with shit than we know.
Really?
Oh yeah. I think this has been a cycle.
Yeah.
Where I think AI has created us and then we created AI. Just one.
Boom.
What do you think, Peggy?
It's what I don't know.
Oh, Jesus.